1-year review of Fireball tool. Let's start with the table. It's obviously the most critical part. We got this unit almost a year ago, not quite a year ago. It's fantastic. First really flat surface I had in the shop. It's not surface plate, but it's pretty flat. And then I got this one, and then later the bigger one. These things go together super easily. You just buy the bolts the Fireball sells, bolt them together, they go flat, you rock and roll. We're going to take a look at a couple of my favorite gadgets. Obviously you've got the basic clamp here. This one's best for applying downward pressure, and you get the most pressure out of it before it starts to pop back out of the hole. However, one thing to keep in mind is when you crank this down, it always wants to kind of turn your material on you, which you should have against a positive stop anyway, so it shouldn't matter, but keep that in mind. You've got these. These are fantastic for all your jig-like operations, and they're really easily to just, nice for repeatability. You're making the same part a couple of times. So I like to use these. They also don't have that twisting motion when you clamp them down. However, they tend to pull back or push just a little bit depending on how exactly you have them set up when you do squeeze it. They sell all kinds of squares, and almost everything that they do sell is a square, like medium squares, monster squares, but if you got outside the box, all their stuff is square because it's flat. For example, I end up using these as squares a lot. They're square, and they're just a really convenient size to do that with. The scraper is nice for keeping your table clean. A note on the durability of the table. My table's got some marks on it. I use it a lot. Every day I use it. I've got a crazy amount of hours on this thing for the first year. It's got some marks on it. You can't ground through the table. The great people of the internet have an extremely difficult time wrapping their head around the fact that this cast iron with a dragon scale coating on it does not conduct electricity that well, and it will arc out on the part, on the table surface, on the ground scanning location, and that's not something you need to fix. A lot of people in the comment section, hey, take an angle grinder to your table. If I had that table, I'd hit it with a 9-inch, get that crud off of there, right? No, you don't want to do that. That's not the point. It's very spatter resistant, it's very durable, it's very flat. Just put the clamp on your part. It's really not that hard, and it's a great table. It's very durable. It doesn't conduct electricity very well, and your Sigmund and your strong hand are not excellent at conducting electricity either. The nitride on the Sigmund can arc out. The Fireball is honestly probably the worst at arcing out, but it's also super durable. So I'm happy with the super durable table, and I don't really need to be able to ground through it. I can just ground the part. It's a better ground anyways. So enough on that. We've also got a selection of push blocks, like this lighter duty unit here, and this heavier duty unit. The heavy duty one can really put the pressure on some stuff. Fantastic for straightening things out. These are probably my 3 favorite things I have from Fireball. Got a mini tower block here. It seems fantastic. If you want to build up, all the clamps go in it, you put it on the edge, because for whatever reason, no matter how big the table is, I was going to try to make something that's about that much bigger than the table. Just put this on the edge. I need another one of these, honestly. This square is fantastic. You clamp to it, it's great. It doesn't get, pushed around at all by heavier materials like your combo square does. But it's also long enough that you can actually get some reach out there and really square yourself up. As soon as I saw this square on the Fireball website, I bought it. It's for legs, so like table legs and whatnot. You make a little tiny coffee table, whatever. You want to just stick the leg up. Jason designed it so that you can get your stinger in wherever you want to, your MIG gun, whatever, and you put those tacks on through the holes. You can even weld the whole part out with this on here. It also works good for putting fence posts on base plates, whatever you need to do. This thing is here for you. Speaking of here for you, the Fireball team is here for you. If you have any hiccup, any question, call them on the phone during business hours, send them an Instagram message, send them an email. Those guys are on the ball. They will help you out. They're there for you. They love their product. They love doing what they do. They stand behind their product. If you have any problem, any question, you just give them a call. I've talked to them multiple times. They help me out with everything. They answer my questions. You know, how should I set up my table legs? What kind of widget do I need to do this task? Do you sell the thing for this? Do you not sell the thing for this? Oh no, I damaged my table. What will I do? They're right there for you. And they've got a great selection of widgets. I don't have near enough widgets. I need more widgets. I forgot I got some other widgets I'm going to show you really quick. We got a tooth block. If you watch social media, Jason really loves his tooth blocks. And at first I was like, yeah, whatever, I'll get one and see what the hype is about. And it took me a little while to kind of get the hang of how you actually use this thing, but this thing is most excellent. And now I wish I had like 12. These are for pipes and tubes and whatnot. Interesting note about these, they're really good for putting two things together. So you want to make a 45 or whatever out of two pieces of pipe. These are perfect. However, if you want to put three things together, the location of the hole on the bottom is pretty much never going to be where you want it to be. I imagine if you suspended them all on tooth blocks, you could actually make it work great, but I have that many tooth blocks, so I can't do that. But I imagine you could do that, but just for the record, if you want to put three things together and you don't have tooth blocks, you can't just put them in the holes because it doesn't work out right. And then this little extendo gadget, Jason likes to put them on here, up against stuff. I don't know, this is super nifty. I end up using it all the time. Didn't think I would, but it's really nice because it makes the front of your tooth block taller, so you can push up against the part or whatever. What do you do when you damage your table? I call Fireball on this because I was like, oh no, I damaged my table. It's not coming off with a scraper. What am I going to do? So you take the wet stone, put a little motor oil on it, grab a little scrubby scrub, and it takes any lumps off and brings the table back to flat. And I found most of the time it leaves the dragon scale intact. Fireball recommends this Walter E-Weld 4 anti-spatter for just keeping everything dialed in. Usually I just came out with WD-40 because it's cheap and it's a nice solvent that just takes all the crud out of there, keeps everything dialed in and fresh. Let's look at some of the damage on my table after a year. Most of the stuff you run into, splatter and whatnot, it's just going to come off really easily with the Fireball scraper. Well, scraping action, you're all good, right? If you do end up with something protruding from the table, again, you just take it off with the whetstone and some oil, no big deal. Unfortunately, I have some marks on mine that I wish I didn't, you know, arc mark, whatever, it happens. That's how I learned that you shouldn't use these to conduct electricity like you would a regular steel table, which is fine. It's just the way they are. The dragon scale holds up good. For whatever reason, the dragon scale on my first table did not hold up good, and I called Fireball and they took care of it. And on this one and that one, dragon scale's been holding up great. With the first one, I could kind of take it off with a scraper. Whatever I called Fireball, they made it right. No big deal. Everything's fine. Obviously, if you do anything really bad to your table, like clip it with a cutoff wheel like I did right there, you're gonna have a problem. If you weld into your table like I did right there, can you get damage? Again, they hold up really good, and just because mine has some damage on it, it doesn't mean I'm an idiot. It just means I used it every day, and that's life. I mean, you gotta take good care of your stuff, but you also have to use it, and that's just the way it is. If you're not using it, you're not doing anything, right? Also, on the legs, I don't know what the official recommended method for this is. I called Fireball. They said just put legs under everything, which is a great idea in theory, but they're expensive. So I have this one to this one with no leg right there, and them just bolted together. And I think that if you were to say drop 1,500 pounds right there, you'd probably wish you had a leg, because you could probably shear the casting off. But I'm not even going to be taking a hammer and beating on this. You know, I've got other things for that. This is not for hammering on. It's not for beating on. So I just have leg, 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 and then this gap right here is fantastic. I didn't think that I would need this gap. My wife thought that I would need this gap, so I have this gap. I can punch my mag drill through this hole. I can stick odd shaped parts down this hole. This hole is probably one of the most useful things I have on the table. It's so fantastic. If I did it again, I would absolutely intentionally put a hole in the middle of my table, because this one's flat with this one, because they just bolt together that nicely. And that's the end of my thoughts on my first year with Fireball Tool Systems, just as a company and as a shop tool. It's been a serious game changer for how I operate here. I can build flat things fast. I can build odd shaped things really well. Layouts go really smoothly. You don't have to have a system like this to make good stuff in your shop. Absolutely, you do not have to. You can build good things on a concrete floor, build good things on a sawhorse, build good things on plywood, build good things on an 1.25" piece of plate that you have laying around. You can build good things on a dirt floor with nothing but a stick welder. However, when you have tools like this in your professional shop, it's going to take your efficiency, your speed, and your quality, and your flatness in particular, just to a whole other level. So I would absolutely recommend this as an investment into your professional shop, and as a hobbyist, probably too. As a hobbyist, I know when I was doing hobby work and whatnot, there's a lot of other things that you maybe should spend your money on, but if you could squeeze it into your hobby shop, this would be a game changer. I even hear people using them as woodworkers and whatnot, just because it's nice to have that really black surface. If you have any thoughts on Fireball, and if you want to tell me that you think that I should take a 9-inch grinder to my table so that it will conduct electricity better, go ahead and throw that in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks, I'll see you in the next one.